My name is Iannielli, and I'm a male to female transgender girl, and I'm going to talk today about just, life and what it's like to be transgender and the experiences that I have lived through. Um, when I first realized that I was transgender, it was not a shock because I knew when I was very young that I was predisposed to feminine things. I started wearing my sister's clothes when I was a 3-year-old, and I always was drawn to the pretty clothes and feminine things. So I knew that way back then that there was something different about me. The problem was I couldn't tell anybody. It was my secret. So I kind of lived with that, and it was hard. I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't tell any friends. I didn't tell my parents. I was kind of scared, and I felt very ashamed, actually. I didn't feel like I was doing what I should be. I knew I was a boy, but in my heart I wasn't. I was a girl in my heart, and it was a battle for me. I struggled every day, literally. I was very sad inside, and I felt depressed, and I just didn't enjoy being a boy. It was horrible, and I didn't like the clothes I wore. I felt out of place. I'd much rather be with the girls. I felt very comfortable amongst girls, and I wanted to be like them. I was very quiet and a very shy kid, and I didn't talk a lot. I didn't talk to anybody, actually. I was very insecure. I didn't think that I was I didn't feel right. It didn't make me want to be a part of anything. I wanted to disassociate myself. I wasn't happy. I was miserable. I was very sad on a regular basis, and I was extremely depressed, and I just didn't feel that my life was going anywhere, and I knew that something had to change, but I was too young to do anything about it. And I grew up in a generation where you didn't talk about things like this. How do you tell your parents that here you are a boy, but you'd rather be a girl and wear dresses and play with dolls and have girlfriends? How do you explain that? It wasn't an easy thing for me. So I kind of tried to fit in as a boy and do what was expected of me. But in my heart, I was miserable, and I cried quite often. I used to cry myself to sleep a lot. If I had a dress that I was able to steal from my sister, I would wear that to bed, and it made me feel happy. I was very comfortable in a dress, made me feel like I was a girl, and it made me happy. I always wanted to be a girl from a very early age, and it was just something that I had to live with. The hardest part was keeping it a secret and trying never to get caught. I had to be very careful when I dressed, and I was very concerned that I might get caught, but I never did. I was very good at hiding my secret, and it was a lifelong secret that I kept all throughout my life, basically. But through the years, as I got older, my desires never changed. I always knew I was a female, trapped in a male's body, and I cross-dressed to, express the feminine side of me, the actual feminine life that I was supposed to live. I expressed that through my cross-dressing, and I was a very feminine boy. I tried to be masculine. I played in baseball. I was a runner in high school, cross country, but I just never fit in. I never felt right. I was extremely depressed. I never identified with people. The only ones that I did have a bond with were my teammates on my cross-country team and a few friends that I made throughout the years. And we played some baseball together. But aside from that, I was pretty much a loner. And I couldn't find anybody else who felt like me. And it was hard to even figure out anybody who was like me, because I had to not tell anybody, so there was no way I could find out anyway. So I had to just pretend that everything was fine, when in reality it wasn't. And it was a very painful existence, but I had a loving family. My parents were awesome. They took good care of my two sisters and I was the oldest, and I was very studious in school. I did good. I was a good, I was very good with my studies. My mom taught me to always be attentive to that, and I was always diligent, and I studied hard, and I think the studying was helpful because it alleviated my, the struggles that I had with my gender issues. So I kind of buried myself in the books to escape my gender struggle, and likewise with sports. I was very into my running, and that was an escape for me. That helped me deal with my internal struggle. It didn't alleviate it, or didn't eliminate it, but it was there to help cope. So the running definitely helped me in dealing with that. But I lived with my gender struggles all my life, and I never knew if I would ever experience living as a girl, as a female. I always knew in my heart I wanted to, and I wanted to be just like the girls. I wanted to wear pretty dresses. I just wanted to wear nice shoes. And when I was little, I remember I wanted to play with Barbie doll and just crying because I knew it wasn't going to happen. And it hurt. I was very sad. Nobody knows what it's like to be born in the wrong body, to have a boy body but a girl mind. Nobody knows. Only people who live through it. And the sad thing is there's a lot of ignorance, and people judge and disrespect and think that people who are transgender are, subhuman. They don't appreciate us as individuals, as people. What we are people who want to be true to our identity. I don't think there's anything wrong if a boy says he's a girl inside his heart, or inside her heart. I knew very young that I was a girl in my heart, and I cried. I literally cried every night when I went to bed, and I couldn't wear a dress all the time. I could only wear it when I was able to I always asked God why he made that, why he made someone to be different. Why would I have a girl mind and a boy body? I couldn't understand. It didn't make any sense. I didn't know. And I couldn't figure out how to express it, how to explain it. I lived in denial, and I suppressed my feelings. I had to deny my own way, my person, my inner sense, my very essence as a person. I had to suppress my feminine, my female persona. I couldn't be who I really was. Nobody understands that pain. Only a transgender person knows. It's a very painful existence. And we're made fun of, we're taunted, we're abused, we're thought of as objects, we're not appreciated. I don't understand. We're just people. We just want to be loved and accepted for who we are. We don't judge others, and we don't want to be judged. We just want to live and be happy. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so. We're just people too. I don't understand why society has such a bad view of the transgender community. I am hoping over time that we will have more positive attitudes and acceptance, and that things will change for the better. Life for a transgender is very uncertain. A lot of transgender people, when they come out, lose friends, lose their families, lose their jobs. They lose everything. And there's a very high suicide rate amongst transgender people. We have one of the highest of any group of people, over 40%. Things have to change. Teenagers who struggle, who are not accepted, committing suicide. It's heartbreaking. It's a tragedy. Leela Alcorn, and a trans man who was a teenager, 15. I don't remember his name. These kids died because they weren't accepted. They were made fun of. They were treated with disrespect. Why? They're just kids. They're just trying to be who they are. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so. So why do people judge us? Why do people criticize? Why are we taunted? Why are we laughed at? Why? What did we do? We're just living our lives the way we feel we should. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so. Life is complicated. For a transgender person, it's more complicated. And we have so much that we have to deal with. In order to get our bodies to match our mindset, we have to alter our bodies physically. We have to alter everything that we were born with so we can find our inner happiness. We're not crazy. We're just doing what we need to do. Is there anything wrong with that? No, there isn't. We're people. We need to do what we have to find our inner happiness. Life is short. We don't live forever. If we're destined to live a miserable life, we may as well kill ourselves. But if we have the chance to change and to find happiness, then we should do it. There's nothing wrong with it. If I could make one person understand what my struggle is like, then I would feel happy, because at least I would have made a difference to know that somebody can understand the plight of a transgender person and maybe be a little sympathetic. We're people who are trying to be happy. We're trying to do what we feel is right. And we're doing what we always knew we should have. And we don't have any doubts, no reservations. We are very clear on what we need to do. We're not crazy, and transgender people try to live for as long as possible in the body that they were born into. But over time, it just doesn't work. You can't live a life of misery and pain when you know that you can change it. I remember when I was little, praying that I would wake up one day as a girl, and I would ask God why it wasn't like that, why I couldn't be the girl that I prayed to be, why no one listened to me, why couldn't I have a doll as a toy to play with, why couldn't I like a boy to be my boyfriend, why couldn't I just be happy living my female existence, why couldn't I be able to tell people, why did I have to lie and hide and feel ashamed and deny myself what I should have been? Why? Life is a beautiful thing, and you know that you have to appreciate all that you are given. And we do appreciate life, and we want to live our life, and we want to do it the way we feel is the right way. Now, I know that I was born a male, and I did everything that I could to live that life, and I was very happy. I did all the things that were expected of me. I married. I graduated college before, obviously. My wife and I, we had a baby, a son. It was a joy. It is a joy. I would never change that. That's my most proudest moment, and it will always be that. You can't imagine the miracle of birth. When my wife delivered my son, our son, it was truly remarkable. I just was totally in awe of my wife and the strength that she had in delivering our son. She was in a lot of pain, and I don't know if I could do that. As much as I want to be a woman, it's very hard to deliver a child. Women go through a lot. They are very strong, and they can tolerate a lot of pain. I've dealt with a lot of pain in my life. I lost my mom. She was very young. I was in my late 20s. She was 49. I lost my dad to suicide. I was a very shy person growing up. I struggled with my gender. I had gender dysphoria. I have a son who's autistic. He has his struggles. Life isn't perfect, but it is beautiful, and we need to do what we feel is right. I want to keep my family. I love my wife. I always will. And my son I adore, and we have a lovely, wonderful relationship. And my son understands, and he accepts me for who I am, and we have a great time together. I miss my son. He's away at school. He goes to a residential school because of his autism, and it's difficult. It's not an easy thing. And, my son has struggles like I have, and I want to help him, and I need to help myself too. And people think I'm selfish. When I came out, and informed people that I was intending to transition from male to female, a lot of my friends walked away from me. They left me high and dry. They didn't respect me. They weren't real friends. They were traitors. You know, real friends stay by your side and are trustworthy. And you can trust them by telling them anything. And I do have some friends like that. But a lot of my friends that I thought were friends were fair weather friends. They weren't friends. You know, they walked away. So I don't have need for friends like that. They weren't true friends to me, so good riddance. I'm very happy in my transition. I'm into my third year, and I've been on hormones for 2.5 years now, or a little over 2.5 years. I started in June of 2012, so 2012, 13, 14, so in 4 months it will be 3 years. Yeah. So I'll be on female hormone, estradiol, and spironolactone. In 4 months it will be 3 years. And I remember the very first day that I was prescribed the hormones. It was one of the best things to happen. It wasn't the best thing, but it ranked up there. And I was overjoyed because I knew that day was the day that I was on my way to becoming female. And I was overjoyed. And I had every right to be. And when I first went to Illinois to see my doctor, when I met her, she asked me why I was coming, why I was there, and I told her I'm transgender and I'm transitioning from male to female, or I hope to, and I wish to go on hormone replacement therapy, HRT. And she asked me, so you want to be a woman? And I said, yeah, I do. That's what I am. And then she asked me to take off I was wearing a suit and tie because I wasn't yet out with dressing. I didn't feel comfortable. But when I took off my suit and tie for my vitals, I had a dress on, and she laughed, and she thought it was cute, and she said, I get you, hon, it's okay. It'll be okay. And she knew right then and there that I was very serious about wanting to be a female and transition. And she promised me in 3 months she would put me on hormones.